What is up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I've got a little different setup. You can tell I'm a big fan of Michael Jackson. I got some CDs. I decided to change up where I do certain videos. So today we are going to do a Reddit Let's Not Meet story. I have two stories to read. The first one I'm going to read is a little bit longer than the second one. I think I just knocked my off. No, I didn't. I just hit the sticky note I have on my movie stand. Don't mind my crappy guitar chords thing, but yeah, I think I'm gonna upload this today. Do not worry, the Chandler Levy case, the final part of it will be out soon. It's just really hard because for those true crime videos, I actually have to edit together like news clippings and stuff like that, and it's hard and everything. But yeah. Let's get right into our Reddit Let's Not Meet stories. So my first one, I had to write the author down. So the first one is titled Mr. Jim by Krista Boo 14. I was reading this and I was like, oh, that's very odd. You know, it only has Mr. Jim in it. But I think it's a good one. Here we go. When I was 14, I was asked to babysit my three younger cousins, aged 8, 4, and 1, in an extremely rural/mountainous part of Pennsylvania. My aunt and uncle had a wedding to go to over an hour away and wouldn't be back until very late. Their house was situated on a steep mountainside. The back deck had a 14-foot drop on. So as I was editing this, I noticed that there was a little error in how I told the story. I said there was a 14-foot drop on their back deck. It's actually a 15-foot drop, and as I was editing that, I was kind of like, that doesn't sound right. So I just wanted to clear it up that it is a 15-foot drop, not a 14-foot drop. Rocky hill below, leading down to a river. The closest neighbors were about half a mile away. The closest main road was a mile away, and at night there were no lights to be seen anywhere around them. Basically, it was in the middle of nowhere, and you would have to know where you were going to get there. You just don't accidentally end up there. My aunt and uncle left us with some pizza and their cell phone number next to their landline. This was in the early 2000s, and I didn't have a cell phone, but even if I did, I wouldn't get reception there anyway. And headed out. The baby was already asleep. The 4-year-old wasn't feeling well and was quietly watching TV in the living room as he dozed off. And the 8-year-old was playing Guitar Hero up with me in the loft. The loft overlooked the living room to the left, where I could keep an eye on the 4-year-old, and there was a huge window that overlooked the driveway to the right. The description of the driveway is a very important detail to the story. The road that led to their house ran straight into their forked driveway. It was a dead-end road, and the house was as far as you could go. Go to the left driveway, there was a large open carport, and that's where my aunt and uncle, anyone who ever visited, parked. The right driveway led down a very short but very steep hill to a large leveled out area and ended against the garage door that opened to the basement of the house. It was never used as a garage, but served as my uncle's man cave and where he spent most of his time. Right beside the garage door, a normal door with a window so you could see in, but this driveway was exclusively used by the kids as a play area because it was the only flat yard-like area on the property, and being on a mountainside, there wasn't much room to safely play otherwise. No cars ever drove down there, ever. There are too many toys and bikes in the way, and friends and family knew this. That was a lot of... I like how detailed this one is. I skimmed through it to see if it was good, and it is. I like how detailed it is. It was about 10 p.m., pitch black outside. No moon to illuminate the area either. My cousin and I were still playing Guitar Hero when headlights caught the corner of my eye. And not my aunt's minivan headlights, huge truck headlights with those roof lights you often see on Jeeps or other off-road trucks. Not only that, the truck was going down the right driveway, the kids' play area. This was not my aunt and uncle. This was not anyone they knew. Panic and dread filled my body. I was a small teenage girl, alone in an isolated house on a mountain at night with 3 children in my care. In a terrified voice, I asked my cousin, "Who is that, Jake? Do you know whose truck that is?" And he looked panicked. "No, I've never seen that truck before," he replied. I quickly ushered him downstairs, still unsure what to do, but the 2 little ones were sleeping down there, and I wanted to make sure they were safe. I checked on the baby and then grabbed the phone to call 911, and then I started to hear the metal garage door being shaken violently. No one ever opened the garage door. More panic fills me. I hear them try the door beside it, the metal doorknob jiggling. No one was actually knocking, but it's like they were checking to see if my uncle was down there. Plus, the lights were out. It was dark down there. They knew no one was down there. They were They were definitely breaking in. The door leading to the basement steps was right next to the phone, so I could clearly hear all of this going on. I quickly turned the little lock on the doorknob just in case they did make it into the basement. My heart was practically jumping out of my chest. I'm talking to the 911 dispatcher as my 8-year-old cousin clings to my arm. The operator is calm and trying to calm me, but I knew it would be at least 30 minutes until a police officer would get up there. Assuming they didn't get totally lost on this mountainside in the pitch dark. I just kept thinking, we are fucked. We are dead. This is how I die. The operator asked for the number my aunt and uncle left me so she could have another dispatcher call them to let them know the situation. I turned around to grab the paper with the number on it, and to my absolute horror, I see a man peering in the large sliding glass door. A huge, burly, had to have been a 6'4" man with long, scraggly red hair and a big red bushy beard. And what made it worse, he was grinning at me, grinning in a way that still scares me to this day. Meanwhile, I had to have looked like a terrified deer in headlights. I was shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. There was a second man behind him. I couldn't see as well. I have no idea what he looked like, but he was equally as tall, but a bit more lanky than the larger man at the sliding glass door. I screamed, "Oh my God, they're here!" And before the 911 operator can say anything, my 8-year-old cousin goes, "Mr. Jim." His voice was very confused. It wasn't like my cousin was happy or even relieved to see him. I asked, "Do you know who that is?" But before my cousin could answer, I turned my attention to the man in the door. "I'm on the phone with the police," I shouted. I'm grateful he didn't try that door, because I do not think it was locked. The man stared at me hard for a moment, eyebrows furrowed, like deciding what he wanted to do next. But he then just backed away into the darkness. What seemed like an eternity later, I saw the truck lights back out of the driveway, and then back down the road until they disappeared. I was still scared shitless, and so was my cousin. He had only met the guy a few times. An acquaintance of his dad. It wasn't like he was a close friend, and obviously because again, he went down the wrong driveway. Visitors never go down that way. The 911 operator asked for a description of the man, then told me they had gotten in touch with my aunt and uncle, and they were on their way home. She stayed on the phone with me until a police officer showed up a bit later to make sure the men were gone, and they stayed with us until my aunt and uncle got home so they could ask them some questions. My uncle was furious. Not at me for calling them home early, but at this Mr. Jim guy. He muttered something like, "I'm going to fuck him up." My aunt was mad at my uncle, and I told him to tell Jim to never come back again. Oh, and her aunt told him. I didn't know at the time, but my uncle had a drug problem. I don't know what Mr. Jim or his accomplice were doing, or what they would have done if I wasn't on the phone with the police, but that grin was not a friendly one. It was sinister. And again, he also had to have known my uncle was not there, because the basement was dark. He would have seen through the windowed basement door. He had also tried lifting the garage door, something not even my uncle did. He intended to break into the basement. That much is clear to me. There is no other explanation. I never did babysit for them again, and I don't think I ever even went back up there, because not long after that, my aunt divorced my uncle and moved out. So Mr. Jim, the grinning, burly mountain man who tried to break into the house where I was babysitting, let's not meet again. So when I was reading that story the first time, I got to like the part where it was like her and her cousin were still playing Guitar Hero upstairs, and she was like, I skimmed past that and I got to like the part where she saw the big burly 6-foot dude. I was like, ooh, this looks really interesting, and I decided to choose it because I couldn't imagine being put in a situation like that where I'm home alone babysitting 3 kids, because I myself am a teenage girl, and I couldn't imagine being home alone babysitting my like cousins who are 8, 4, and a year old. Like, I couldn't do that, and to have like a man show up, oh my god, that'd be freaky. So I have one more story for you guys, and then that's it. And this one is titled Ted Bundy Wannabe. Let's Not Meet Again. And this story is by Mickey0323. So yeah. This happened during the summer of 2015, and I had just graduated high school. And I still lived in my hometown. I was out with some friends, and it was getting really late, around 1 a.m., so I decided to head home. I stopped by a drugstore close to my house that was 24/7 to pick up some aspirin and snacks, and when I went in it was in the same parking lot as a supermarket. This is important. I parked my car close to the store, and it was empty. There were no more than 2 other cars in this giant parking lot, and I was nowhere near them. I headed and grabbed what I came to get quickly, because I had this overwhelming feeling of dread the whole time. I've had a couple of those feelings. I felt like someone was watching me, but I couldn't see anyone else there besides me and the cashier. Then, after I had gotten everything I intended to buy, I stalled checking out and just went aisle by aisle looking at random things because I thought whoever was out there would leave if I took too long. Really, the whole time I thought I was being paranoid because I wasn't used to going out late. Strict parents growing up. After 20 minutes of that, I pay and leave the store I get to the door and literally bolt to my car, pepper spray in hand, and lock myself in. I turned my head to check the back seat, and right before I could breathe a sigh of relief because no one was there, someone tapped at my window. I looked around before I left the store near the entrance, and no one was around my car. So how did I not see a person there? This is where I really freaked out. I don't know if this person was Ted Bundy inspired or what, but this was odd. He was a very handsome blonde man with slightly long hair and a cast on his arm. Now my first instinct was to drive off, but he was leaning on the front hood part of my car, and I didn't want to hurt him, so I rolled my window down just an inch so he could speak and maybe back up just a bit so I could drive off without hitting him. But nope, he stayed glued to my car. He then asked me if I would help him with directions and look up an address for him. I said, I really need to go, sir. Maybe ask in the drugstore, they can help you. He said, already went to the supermarket and they couldn't help. That place closed at 8, and there was no way this guy has just been lurking around for 5 hours waiting for some random girl's help. He then went on about feeling tired and if I could just give him water or food I bought since he had no money. I told him okay and began to reach to my passenger side, grabbed the chips I got, and began to roll down the window. Slightly, and like I expected, he moved closer to my window, but he was now off the car, so I hit the gas. He chased my car, and I heard a scraping sound on the side as I pulled away. I didn't drive directly home in case I was followed and drove down the highway for an hour because I was so distraught over what happened. I finally got home, and my entire side of my car had been scraped from the door almost to the trunk. I am really sure he used a knife or some sharp object because it was a really rough scratch. I reported the incident, but they never found him or any similar incidents in my town. He was watching me the whole time, maybe from the windows of the store, because how else would he have known I bought food? I also think he hid behind my car, so I couldn't see him when I came out. I feel like he was trying to get me before I got in my car, but I got in too fast. So creep in the parking lot. Let's not meet again. Okay, so I chose that one because I genuinely, like a year, maybe, when Netflix first put on their tapes with Ted Bundy series, I watched them and I genuinely enjoyed them. And I was like, ooh, this is really interesting. I'm gonna watch it. I got really intrigued. And then again, serial killers really intrigued me because, like, how did he get away with it for so long? And not only that, but Ted Bundy escaped prison like twice. So yeah. But those are a couple those are a couple Reddit Let's Not Meet stories, and if you guys really enjoy this this video, I'll probably make it a series, because I enjoy watching Reddit Let's Not Meet stories, because I just think it's somewhat calming to me. But yeah, the Sandra Levy finale should be out soon. I am working on my next case, which is the Sandra Bland case. It will be a 4-part series. The first part is, who is Sandra Bland? So get ready for that. So, peace. See you guys later.